First time I met President Orkhan Amashov, that was I think, 15, 16 years ago. He has been mentioning Nagorno-Karabakh, explaining to me difficult situation and substance of the problem. I was explaining to him Kosovo issue. Fortunately, you solved your problem, which is very good, and this is something that I'm paying respect to your president. We didn't solve our problem.
Of course, Azerbaijani experience regarding Karabakh evidently cannot be replicated by Serbia for obvious reasons.
We cannot recognize Kosovo independence, and we are not going to recognize Kosovo independence.
Impression given is that Azerbaijan is presently paying the price for its massively important success, and now they want to get rid of the clutches of Russian domination.
Yes.
How do you see Armenia's efforts in terms of reducing Russian presence?
You can be best friend of Armenia somehow.
Do you think that prospective Azerbaijani-Armenian peace deal will increase Armenian sovereignty?
I'm not sure that Russia is a real friend of Armenia, but Russia is a friend of some Armenian policy. Geostrategically thinking, Azerbaijan is a very big and significant country. I don't see many alternatives to that corridor. I'm not against Russian gas, but at the same time, I do not want to see my country and the region to be totally dependent on one source of the gas.
Hello everybody. The 11th Global Baku Forum is now drawing to a close. This three-day congregation was attended by 400 guests from over 70 countries. And today, my guest is one of the most distinguished participants of this forum, former Serbian President, Mr. Boris Tadic. President Tadic, thank you very much indeed for this opportunity. You've been attending this forum since its very inception, I believe. How was this year different compared to previous editions of the forum?
When we tried to establish forum 11 years ago, we've been talking about totally different challenges, and things are changing in the world. We're becoming more and more unpredictable. And now my dilemma is what is going to be the next challenge for the next forum. If 3 years ago the war in Ukraine was totally unpredictable, and last year war in Israel between Palestinians or Hamas and Israelis, and war in Yemen with such big global implications, what is going to be surprise for all of us next year, and what is going to trigger new conflict in the future? This is why Baku Forum is witnessing changing in the world. Baku Forum is witnessing the dramatic progress we've made, but also dramatic deterioration we are facing with. Nowadays we are talking about real, global, extremely painful and dangerous challenges.
Could you explain to us, on the basis of your experience, why our world today is so fractured? And this is actually the theme of the forum. And what are the ways of fixing this fractured world? Of course, we are not looking for any panacea, but what could be the baseline for us to build our argument?
The reason why we are so fractured is lying in the fact that the big powers didn't communicate to each other about common challenges, but they were opposing to each other. Do you remember when was COVID affecting whole world? We didn't have a cooperation between scientific institutions in order to offer to the people new and very efficient vaccine. That was more competition between them, and they didn't share information what they have to do. Fortunately, they produced the vaccine very fast, faster than before, but that is because of technological improvement and development, but not as an outcome of cooperation in the period of the history of mankind when we've been together in a very, very difficult and dangerous situation. We don't have a cooperation, we don't have a sharing information about significant things, we don't have a trusting, we have new divisions, and this is fracturing world, and nowadays we are thinking how to fix that outcome.
And of course, the crisis in Ukraine is the key ingredient of the current fractured world. Western leaders, American president, British prime minister, even French president, they're all saying that they are absolutely adamant in their efforts to support Ukrainian territorial integrity. They will do their level best. They will do everything humanly possible, and they will support Ukraine for as long as it takes. What does "for as long as it takes" actually mean? Does it mean till Ukraine fully recovers its territorial integrity, including Crimea, or does it mean till some kind of compromise is achieved between Russia and Ukraine, do you think? What is your reflection on this?
Big powers, even Western big powers, are always considering such a prognosis in accordance with their own interests. The war is going to be continued until interests of the big powers are going to be fulfilled. Russia has a different interest in Ukraine, but very similar in other parts of the globe, with United States and other NATO member countries. I'm afraid that this war is going to be continued because of the interests that are very divided. We have a kind of dispute regarding interests and the conflicts existing there, and there is no any peace agreement on horizon we can see right now. And this is bringing on, it's a very difficult situation. If we don't have any peace agreement for offer and idea, we are very far from peaceful solution, and this is what is concerning very much everyone who is very responsible for current situation in the world. You're asking me how long that can be. That can be 1 year, that can be also 10 years. This is problem.
In this fractured world, what are the common interests of Azerbaijan and Serbia, which have got many similarities in terms of the challenges these two nations face in terms of their territorial integrity and so on? We've got very good energy-related relations as well. So how would you describe in a nutshell the commonalities uniting Serbia and Azerbaijan?
First time I met President Ilham Aliyev, that was, I think, 15, 16 years ago, and it was very informal dinner that we organized in some restaurant in Baku. In that time, I didn't know him, he didn't know me, and we started to talk about issues that are affecting us and the common challenges. He has been mentioning Nagorno-Karabakh, explaining to me difficult situation and substance of the problem. I was explaining to him Kosovo issue. On Nagorno-Karabakh, fortunately, you didn't have NATO troops or KFOR troops, which is basically NATO, but we had on Kosovo. Fortunately, you solved your problem. We are very close to finish that problem, which is very good, and this is something that I'm paying respect to your president. We didn't solve our problem because NATO is basically on Kosovo nowadays, and in accordance with the international agreements, we cannot even go through the administrative border between Serbia and our province Kosovo with troops and people that are wearing the weapon, which means we cannot solve problem like Azerbaijan. We have to sit and to negotiate. That was also intention of Azerbaijan all these years, but unfortunately Armenian side didn't accept that kind of proposal. But we have to negotiate, but the way how we are negotiating is bringing us even more difficult situation, but because Albanian leaders on Kosovo, day by day, are taking over more responsibility for territory on Kosovo, even those parts of Kosovo that are covered with 100% of Serbs. This is very dangerous situation for us, making tensions not only in our province Kosovo, but also in whole Serbia. And this is something that is destabilizing Serbia. And I think that we have to be very careful about further progress there.
Sure. Of course, Azerbaijani experience regarding Karabakh evidently cannot be replicated by Serbia for obvious reasons. But what happened regarding Karabakh? Over the decades, Azerbaijan was doing its level best to negotiate, and the OSCE Minsk group was a complete failure in the judgment of many people in this country, and not just here, also beyond. And eventually Azerbaijan was compelled to take legitimate measures on the ground. And there are many other post-Soviet countries facing similar sort of problem regarding their territorial integrity, countries like Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine has got a massive problem as well. To what extent do you think Azerbaijan's example could be replicated by other post-Soviet countries in the same situation?
Well, this is a legacy of Josip Vissarionovich Stalin. I mean, he has been creating the borders in a very specific way, putting problems in every single country, trying to manipulate with them, and this is the outcome of the bad leadership a few decades after the period when he has been running country. Which means we have to care about leadership of every single country. Second, the leadership of every single country has to be matured enough and well educated and skillful in terms of solving problems and finding solutions, which is very, very important. Serbia is facing with that problem. Serbia cannot give up from Kosovo, but at the same time, Serbia cannot integrate Kosovo within the sovereign territory of my country in the way how Azerbaijan has been doing that with Nagorno-Karabakh. I fully agree with you that every single case has kind of specificities and which way that has to be taken into consideration very, very seriously. Serbia has to negotiate, but Serbia cannot give up from its own legitimate interests, and we cannot recognize Kosovo independence, and we are not going to recognize Kosovo independence, but we are going to continue our efforts in order to find sustainable solution and to work on reconciliation, which is, from my point of view, very important in terms of cementing sustainable peace. Without reconciliation, there is no sustainable peace. Without sustainable peace, there is no development and the progress, and this is why I'm very much insisting on reconciliation. And I appreciate very much your approach to that issue of Armenia and relations with Armenia and also Nagorno-Karabakh. This is something that is really hope for the whole world.
After Azerbaijan fully restored its sovereignty over Karabakh in September 2023, there have been some signs of a very negative reaction from European institutions. For example, in January this year, the credentials of Azerbaijan delegation were not ratified. There have been some resolutions at the level of European Parliament against Azerbaijan. Impression given is that Azerbaijan is presently paying the price for its massively important success regarding Karabakh, regarding restoring its territorial integrity and full sovereignty. Do you think it's a price worth paying?
Yes, that's true. That's maybe true. And at the same time, this is also price for what happened with the Armenian people at the beginning of the 20th century and the way how they suffered in Turkey, and the Armenians diaspora is very big in different countries, some also in some European Union countries, and this is why Armenian diaspora has its own voice, and you have to accommodate yourself for such situation and not to be nervous, but to react in the proper way, calmly, and I think that situation can be solved in the future. By the way, how Ilham Aliyev, as the president of Azerbaijan, and his assistants are approaching to that issue is something that is deserving respect.
Indeed. Armenia. So let's talk about Armenia as well. So Armenian sovereignty seems to be very compromised. And there is a view in Azerbaijan, and this view is shared by many Armenian colleagues as well, that they made the wrong choice in early 90s. And that choice was predicated on the trade-off between surrendering their sovereignty to Russia for the sake of maintaining illegal occupation of Karabakh. And 2020 was a wake-up call for them, because Russia did not interfere in a way they were expecting it to do. And now they want to get rid of the clutches of Russian domination.
Yes.
How do you see Armenia's efforts in terms of reducing Russian presence in their own country?
This is in accordance with the strategic ideas of current leaders of Armenia. Pashinyan is coming on the power with a huge support of diaspora. Diaspora is not in favor of Russian leadership, and this is the outcome of all those things, like kind of attacks on the monuments. Azerbaijan's monument in Paris these days, that I see as an outcome of the troubles Armenian people has been facing in the past, and right now triggering that kind of actions against your cultural legacy and your monuments in other countries. I'm totally against that, but I hope that all others interlocutors are going to take this into the consideration in a serious way. That would be normal approach to that issue of monument and cultural legacy of every single nation all around the world. Okay, I think it's very important to be totally focused on problems and to try to make a kind of bridges between Armenians and every single Armenian community all around the world with Azerbaijan also to explain, and to explain, not to give up, but to continue explaining, to make kind of pressure in terms of negotiations, in terms of creating better conditions between two people and two countries. Armenia is, as you said, is facing with the kind of challenges, but I think after everything what happened, you can play a specific role as Azerbaijan. You can be best friend of Armenia somehow.
Well, the fact that Azerbaijan defeated Armenia in 2020 actually provided them a fresh opportunity to reflect on their geopolitical situation, their relations with Russia. Do you think that prospective Azerbaijani-Armenian peace deal will increase Armenian sovereignty and also reduce Russian presence there?
I think so, but I'm not sure that Armenia is able to do that. Small country surrounded by countries that they cannot consider as friends, always, and in that respect, they need a friend. I'm not sure that Russia is a real friend of Armenia, but Russia is a friend of some Armenian policy, and this is a big problem. But Armenia is a very important country. The people of the huge history, fantastic history, brilliant contribution to the civilization in this corner of the world. And I think that Azerbaijan has the interest to have the best possible relations with this country.
And this year, Azerbaijan will host COP29. It's a massive undertaking, a great responsibility. Some people across the world, they do not take kindly to the idea of countries like Azerbaijan hosting the biggest climate conference on the basis that Azerbaijan is a gas-rich country. What do you think about that argument? Do you think countries like Azerbaijan should be able to host COP29?
Geostrategically thinking, Azerbaijan is a very big and significant country. Not in terms of territory and in terms of population, but Azeris are living not only in Azerbaijan, but also in Turkey, in Iran, and this is something that has to be taken into consideration very seriously and carefully. Second, Azerbaijan is the best possible location for such a meeting because you are in South Caucasus, you are in between Caspian and Black Sea. This is energy corridor. Energy is very important regarding COP29 meetings and consumption of energy and producing of energy is something that we have to discuss during this meeting. And Nizami Ganjavi International Center is taking role of official advisor of the cabinet of the president of Azerbaijan in organizing such a meeting, such forums. And I'm very happy because of that. And tomorrow and after tomorrow, we are going to have first meetings that are going to be focused on COP29, and this is a key issue, and I think that Azerbaijan, by organizing such meeting and also doing a lot in terms of energy, specifically in Caspian area and Black Sea area and the Balkans, can be extremely important player in the role of the new architecture of energy in the Europe and, can I say, in the world.
In terms of connectivity agenda, what is the Serbian approach to the concept of middle corridor?
I was appealing on my government to join middle corridor at the beginning, but unfortunately they didn't accept my invitation and my suggestion to them. Now we are approaching and this is good. What is the bad news? That we didn't join earlier. This is something that I cannot understand. But anyway, we are right now in, and I don't see many alternatives to that corridor nowadays. That was Russia in the past, but Russia is not exporting anymore a lot of gas to Europe that we need. Nord Stream is not functioning, the South Stream is not functioning the way how we expect it to be organized, and I hope that organization about new corridor is very important. We have Azerbaijan as alternative source of gas. We have Turkmenistan maybe in future. This is the idea of cooperation between Turkmenistan and Azerbaijan. We have gas deposits in between Israel and Cyprus. And we have Egypt. Finally, we can say we have also Norway. and the Northern Sea, but the problem of transportation from there, gas to the Southern Europe, is quite big, and this is why I am mentioning these three opportunities to replace the Russian influence in the gas industry. I'm not against Russian gas. To be very frank with you, I'm in favor of cooperation with the Russian main companies in that respect, but at the same time, I do not want to see my country and the region to be totally dependent on one source of the gas, which is strategically very important for our economy.
In terms of Azerbaijan's energy export capabilities, Azerbaijan is a very reliable partner for Europe. Do you think that this role will be further entrenched from now on?
Azerbaijan is a reliable partner in many aspects that I appreciate very much. I was working in the political sphere in Azerbaijan, but also after political sphere, we opened dialogue in economy. We have a very good cooperation in infrastructural projects. Your fantastic company, Asbirt, is making highways in Belgrade. I'm very happy with them. Somehow, maybe I have a kind of role in bringing them in my country, but right now we open a new era of cooperation in the energy sector. I was trying to convince many years ago SOCAR people and also your company to come in Serbia, not only in terms of taking over a refinery in my country or to have an influence in the gas industry, but also to invest in a fertilizers company. This is very important for my country because we have a significant and very big, comparing to the size of the Serbia, agriculture, and this is why I think this is of strategical importance to have such a reliable partner like a SOCAR in the gas industry in Serbia, which is very important for the agriculture in my country, which has a strategic significance for Serbia and for whole region. Unfortunately, I couldn't convince your leaders to come in this area, but I'm just mentioning that in order to present how big can be our cooperation, how extended cooperation can be in the world nowadays. If you are, for example, producing fertilizers in Serbia, you can sell that in all Balkan countries. You are somehow conquering new market for yourself. Of course, it has to be in accordance with the business idea and business plans of every single company. I'm not naive, but that I'm not taking this into consideration. But this is the way how we can extend our cooperation in the region of Southeast Europe.
Of course, the opportunities are there. They must be properly utilized. President Tadic, I'm most grateful to you for your time and for this very interesting conversation.
Thank you very much.
And I wish you all the best.
Thanks a lot.